Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Before starting, subscribe and like the videos, it really helps. The content from this video are taken from the web novel and manga series of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Now please enjoy the video. Part 2. After discovering the magic circle to the 4th floor, we thoroughly searched around the 3rd floor. However, we never saw the shadow or shape of Zenith. We've arrived at the 4th floor. The instant we came out of the teleport magic circle, at a glance, the surroundings had undergone a complete change from previous floors. I have a recollection of those stone-constructed walls. As I thought, it's similar to the ruins where the teleport magic circle was. I wonder if the same type of ruin ended up becoming a labyrinth. Geese, what should we do? Paul asked. We still have a bit more time. Alright, then after we check the atmosphere of the 4th floor, we'll return once. Paul said that with a sharp face, while I was looking around the surroundings restlessly. No matter how you look at the times when he's down, Paul is a failure as a human, but, during the times he's properly doing his job, Paul sure is cool. I don't think it's strange at all that Zenith would fall for Paul after seeing his figure, as well. If I have his blood flowing through me as well, then that compliment Sylphy often says to me might be her true feelings. Sensei, when I'm putting on a serious face, am I cool? Suddenly, I asked Roxy something like that. It might have been a bit narcissistic. Roxy glanced over towards me from under her hat's brim and stuttered. Well, cool? I guess. And then quickly turned her face away. Okay. Just that reaction is plenty. Roxy conveyed the feeling. I asked something that was hard to respond to, didn't I? Excuse me. It seems I was getting a bit too full of myself. But, if Roxy were to suddenly girlishly ask, am I cute? With both hands carrying light sticks, I would affirm that with an elevated cheer from the front seat. Men aren't cool by their face alone, it's their heart. Heaving a heart of steel that burns red with fever is essential. Everyone hit by such a heart will be knocked out in a single hit. Rudy, it's the enemy. After looking ahead, there were 2 armored monsters, each with 4 arms, walking towards us. The armored warriors, for the time being. It seems these types of armors are of the undead attribute. And then, I've learned what works well on the undead is rock or holy attacks. If you fire a somewhat large rock bullet, with a good amount of mass, then generally everything will be blown to pieces in a single hit. I'll preemptively attack it with a rock bullet. Ah, Rudy, that's no good. Just as I was preparing my staff, Roxy stopped me. I've heard that armored warriors use the techniques of the water god style. If you carelessly fire off magic, then a counter will come flying back. Water god style, I haven't encountered it very often, but it's a style of swordsmanship that focuses on warding off and countering. Warding off and countering water god style, for some reason, works effectively even against magic, as well. I don't really know specifically how to become like that, but others say they have a sword technique that allows them to counter-attack magic and send it flying back. Even if it's the usual situation, then I would still feel it's fine. But the opponent is holding 4 swords. Since it's not a human, it might take on 4 opponents simultaneously and match up counters for all them. I see. Then what should I do? Stop its feet and provide backup. Since it's the first monsters, for starters, proceed with caution. Understood, San. I'm going to use Quagmire. Please be careful of your step. Sure. The armor-type monsters have power and they are absurdly skilled with the sword as well, but their legs are slow. Also, the armor is heavy and it should sink easily into the mud. Even though I say that, if I don't release a deep set, Quagmire, then there's the possibility it might escape, as well. I don't think it will lead to a cave-in so easily, but it's still better to minimize magic that changes the terrain. About to the knees, I guess. Quagmire. Just as the armored warrior was about to take a step forward, the Quagmire was created. Both of those fellows sank up to their thighs into the mud. From there our formation's 2 advance guards sprang into action. Paul. I'll go in from the left. Understood, you always take the left, don't you? If my sword is on the side with the wall, then it's difficult to move. Just being selfish now, and whoa, how dangerous. It seems Paul has plenty of composure. While warding off the armored warrior's sword strike with the sword in his right hand, the dagger in his left hand has already cut off one of the arms in a flash. The armor seems quite solid, but it seems that has no effect. Swordsmen of the sword god style are monsters. And, maybe that dagger's cutting edge is razor sharp, I wonder. It seems Elinalise is somewhat being suppressed. By no means is she taking any large attacks, but with her attack power, she can't effectively damage them. Let's support them. Rudy, let's simultaneously fire off magic. On Elinalise-san's side. Understood, I prepare my staff. What I'm using is rock bullet. If it's right now, when its legs are stopped, then it can't evade, as well. Just exactly how much speed it can ward off, I won't know unless I try it. Talhand-san. Sure. Talhand prepared his shield and stood in front of us. If a sword attack comes flying towards us, it seems Talhand intends to be the barrier. As long as he doesn't die instantly, I'll use advanced healing magic. It would be good, as long as he can avoid getting hit in a vital point. Rock bullet, stone cannon. Gallant sword of ice, I seek conviction of this one. Icicle edge. Timing it in sync with Roxy, we fired off at the same time. A bullet-type shell and blade of ice like Ultraslash went flying. The armor instantly moved to ward those attacks off. Just as two of the swords moved, and were preparing to intercept the attack, Elinalise attacked using her shield with good timing, causing its stance to collapse. The rock bullet blew off one of the armor's arms and the ice blade deeply pierced the chest of the armor. The armor stopped moving and soon after crumbled into scattering pieces. Simultaneously Paul's fight ended, as well. As expected, after it reaches a rank then it won't so easily be defeated. Though I said that, the actual amount of time we spent fighting was just about a minute. Although we weren't able to defeat it in a single hit, it didn't even enter the realm of a hard fight. As expected of one who has reached advanced with all three of the major swordsmanship styles. In terms of talent, I'm sure it was enough that he could have made it to the level of Saint. No, in reality, Paul might already be as strong as a Saint rank. Something like the strengths of people can't be measured well in terms of rank after all. Tu-san, could it be, you've gotten a bit stronger since last time? Ah, no good, I said something that might make him get full of himself. A grand story of bragging might start up. HN? No, that's not the case. Almost to the point that I feel weaker than me in the past. However, without even grinning, Paul only took one glance over here, and then faced ahead. Now, without being negligent, let's go. With Paul's words, I came to my senses. That's right. Right now, we're in the middle of a labyrinth, we have no choice other than to stay on guard. Nevertheless, Paul today sure is cool. I'm sure if I were to tell Norn about these adventures with Paul, she would be delighted. Oh my? By chance, Elinalise peeked at Paul's face. And then put her hand to her mouth and lightly laughed. Oh Paul, what are you grinning about? It's disgusting. It's fine for you not to put those kinds of things into words. You must have been quite happy to be praised by Rudeus, weren't you? I understand it. Giggle. Shut it, won't you be silent? I retract my previous statement. As I thought, Paul is being Paul. After that, we defeated a number of armored warriors and mad skulls, and then we decided to return. Walking back, it took roughly 15 hours. As expected, Labyrinth sure are time-consuming. I wonder if Zenith is alright, as we're slowly progressing like this. No, being impatient and becoming stranded, as Roxy did, or worse, are some things to avoid. We must move with caution. Right now, it seems to be going well. While remaining tense, we're not overly jumpy. We still have some leeway in mind. Our condition is the greatest balance. Continuing just like this is for the best, I'm sure. Part 3. After returning once, we'll inspect our equipment and such, and then we'll come back. After returning, we started a meeting right away. And from there, we proceeded to buy a number of essential things. Since we were running out of scrolls for the light spirits, I started drawing more. As expected of the Labyrinth city Lapan, they sell parchments and dyes for drawing magic circles, so I can make them with no problem. If I make one then, after that, Shira-san can learn and do the rest. It seems Shira-san did work for the Milish church, drawing things like scrolls, so it's a specialty of hers. She said she could make about 50 of them, working today. How dependable. Geese bought some chemicals that were strong against armor-type monsters. If you land a hit, then, supposedly the joint parts coil up and its movements get slower. Since they're heavy, I suggested putting something like oil on the ground to make them fall, and Geese, laughing, said Paul would trip. After I responded with an, I see, he laughed even more. Paul and Elinalise were viewing over the available swords for sale. It seems they're searching for a good bargain sword for Elinalise to use. Her estoc is a magic item imbued with magic power. If you swing it, it has the ability to send a vacuum blade flying from the tip. But, since the previous Labyrinth run, it's inconvenient when the opponents are armored warriors. Even if it weren't for them, there's the iron crawlers as well. Using her S-stock is somewhat of a hard fight against armored opponents. I understand that. It seems the dagger that Paul uses in his left hand is a magic item bought in Lapan. Its ability is Armor Break, where the harder the opponent's armor is, the sharper the cutting edge gets. It's a considerably rare ability. The ability is so uncommon that the sellers sold it as a bargain item, as the sellers treated the dagger as a dull blade and said it can't even cut dried meat. Paul said something like, "My keen insight noticed this sword's ability. However, I know it. This ability was the same mentioned as a warrior's weapon in the Legend of Perugius that I read in Buina village. That, although the warrior's sword can't even cut through dried meat, when matched against a clump of steel it easily slices it in half. It's a demon sword." There's no doubt. It caught Paul's attention at the "can't even cut dried meat" part. But well, it does explain why he can display such a high attack power against those armored warriors. The fact that it's effective even in his non-dominant hand means it really is strong. Elinalise bought a one-handed gladius. The ability, Shockwave, imbues within the gladius. When one pierces with it, it releases a force. The damage isn't high, but it seems like you can use it in an instant to send the opponent flying backwards and make some distance. Since it's something that has an ability with practical use, it seems to have a considerably high price, but, with several round magic crystals from her bag, Elinalise bought it. Those magic crystals? How many does she have? During the night, Talhand and Roxy drank alcohol together. And since others consider me an adult now, I can drink some alcohol, as well. Even though I say that, it's not as if I can get dead drunk in front of Roxy as well. Just to the level of socializing, the subject was supposed to be how to arrange the three of us magicians, but at some point, it seemed to change into a lecture on what it means to be a man by Talhan Sensei. A man is, in other words, muscle, one within whom flesh and a heart of gold dwells. That kind of story. It's not a conversation for magicians to have. However, it was a conversation of interest. That's right, isn't it? After all, it's no good if men aren't sturdy. Well, it seems Roxy didn't care around that point and started to get tired. It can't be helped. After spending such a day off and then being told, "Have a safe trip," by Lilia, we re-entered the labyrinth. That's it guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want more and don't forget to like the videos.